Amanda says yes.
All right. Webinar. So looks like webinar is now streaming live on YouTube, but let me make sure that we have it up on my screen. And gentlemen, we are live.
Okay.
All right. Hey, ready to rock. Welcome to episode 11 of JX4. As we are gaining viewers and those that are tuning in, real quick, I'm just going to go around. I'm JJ the CPA. One of the things that we love about this show is that we're all over the country and we have a difference in what we do in terms of the niches that we have, and then even a difference in terms of our experience level. So I've been practicing for 26 years. I'm in Oklahoma. We've got Jose. He's down in Houston. He is in his 30s and has a different kind of practice, but working with the public, does a lot of automation. We've got Juan in Silicon Valley in California, and he is working with a ton of CPA firms, accounting firms, on getting onto social media. And then we have, probably does not require any introduction, but J-Mac, he's probably driving most of the new traffic our way. But we've got Justin McAuliffe. He is out of New York, and he has a practice in dealing with the public, but unique in that he doesn't do compliance work or tax returns. He kind of tees everything up. So one of the things that we love about this show is that we go around the horn. And so we break this hour up into 4 segments, and each one of us during that time attacks a subject, and we all comment on it. And it's a way to kind of bring a different perspective on 4 different things in every show. So keep your hats on, because when we get to the 4th segment, usually that's when things get hot and spicy. Today, we're going to have J-Mac kick us off for the 1st segment. So Justin, what are we hitting now?
Sorry, I was on mute. Thank you, JJ, the CPA.
Oh, you're on mute, bud.
Okay, there we go. Sorry.
There we go.
Evening, gentlemen, on a Wednesday evening. I've thought about this topic pretty quickly last week, so I've been saving it. I haven't changed my mind. We all have our philosophies, our methods, our ways of getting stuff done. I know I have certain things that I do, little quirks. My opinion on these, abilities, however you is to get things done, right? To move forward and be successful and just, get stuff done. Everyone has a little bit of a different twist to it, So hold on one second. So
I love it. I love it.
Hey, Logan. Yeah. All right, here's the thing. How do you guys get stuff done? Email, text messages. How do you all hold on. It was still blocked. How do you all get stuff done in your office, in your life, emails, text messages, all that stuff? JJ, how do you get stuff done?
Hey, I appreciate that. I think for me, it did take a long time trying to be a people pleaser and want to make sure everybody got what they needed as soon as I could possibly do it. But like all of us, as we become more successful in dealing with more people, you have to departmentalize. And I think in some ways, by having the faith that departmentalizing or really kind of figuring out what the priorities are at the times of your day that you need to focus in on them, actually makes you in more demand. And what I mean by that is that people are going to respect that they have to wait an hour and a half to have a really good meal at their favorite Mexican restaurant like we have here in Oklahoma City. Mm-hmm. And so I feel like there's almost a different level of respect that's given to a professional that really does take into account that there's going to take time to follow up with what they need. And the reason I'm hitting that first is that probably for all of us, we are first inundated with the most requests of our time from our clients or from our practice. Not even that it's a negative, but especially as we're growing. So from my perspective, and I had a good friend, Aaron Day, that told me this in high school. It's just wherever you are and whatever you're doing, give it your 100% focus, and then you move on to the next thing. And so with that being said, I've talked about it before, but I have a lot of boundaries. And so I think if we were to introduce that into our discussion, with those that are around us, whether it's a staff or whether it's with family. And you probably don't use that word with clients. Boundaries being, JMac talks about protecting his sleep. I want to protect my time as it relates to getting ready for the work to come. And so with that being said, I check emails pretty much in the evening. I reply to them in the evening. It's easier to get back to clients in the sense that they're probably not going to reply right away. Easier to delegate in the morning. I take care of phone calls. I don't take an appointment before 10 on any day. I don't take any appointments on Monday, and I don't take any appointments on Friday afternoon or after 4 o'clock. The reason I'm saying that is that my week is compacted in dealing directly with the client, whether that's meetings or phone conferences. Direct contact with the clients is confined. Think of surgeons. They can't always be available. Some days they're just simply in surgery and they're not available. It's not that it's bad service. And then in regard to the social media, I know that I have Amanda, and really she does a lot of the heavy lifting, but I'm still the one that I'm getting on it, and it's at night. So really what it gets down to, JMac, is that for us, I'm assuming all of us are doing beyond the 9 to 5, and we're not necessarily putting boundaries on a 9 to 5. We just need to find boundaries with the things that we're working on, that it doesn't bleed into other things. And I love what Jose says, and I might be out of time, but like today, the reason that we're doing it in the evening is Jose had a couple of phone conferences. I'm at my son's baseball game. So all of us came together and did it in the evening. And so putting family first, I think, is important, but also knowing the boundaries around that.
Can't say it any better. My goal for our listeners and viewers is to take a little bit from each of us throughout this topic, because there is no one answer. There's no formula. Everyone has to find their own piece. So you just heard JJ go. He gave his spiel. Jose's going to go give his now. So pick it all. So Jose, how do you?
Okay, great question. So we actually communicate with our clients inside our practice management system. So we have a software that does all our practice management. We actually invite our clients into it and help them. It establishes a very collaborative feel. They get to see where we're at on each project, percentage wise, as far as what have we done on it, what haven't we done. We're very task oriented, and we set up a message thread in there, and all communication is through there. There's an iPhone app. You get notifications. I get notifications. All communication is going to be through there. So we've tried to remove all text, all emails, all of that, because let's be real, emails get lost. Emails get lost all the time, and it's not easy. I still get emails from clients, and so I turn around and hey, I'll turn around and message them in the thread. Hey guys, I saw your email. Let's kind of try to push them, gear them back towards inside there. But you still have the occasional text, you still have everything, and it happens. And the good thing about the email is that our management system, it integrates with Outlook. And so whenever a client sends me something, I can create a task automatically inside their project so that I know and tag the email in there. So if they send us any kind of information or anything on there, it's like, there it is, good to go.
Wow.
Same thing internally with our staff. If we're talking, because the project management system has kind of an internal chat, like a Slack kind of. So when we talk with each other, if there's a to-do action or something, I can create a to-do list within there into whatever project I need to, into my own personal one that I know, okay, this is admin work I need to get done, and set a due date. And I can actually tag clients to do stuff, for me with a due date, and it'll kind of remind them and ping them like, hey, I need bank statements, I need this, I need that, so.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of how we've tried to do. It's a business model that we learned from Will Lopez. That's how he ran his practice before he went over to Gusto. And so we've had a lot of conversations with him, and, big shout outs to him, because he's been very collaborative, very helpful with us as far as that aspect. We're trying to be as open, as transparent as possible with our clients. And I feel like emails, I've worked at enough places to where email communication is just very inefficient, I think. Text still works. Text always works, but it's just the one problem is trying to make sure that people understand that after a certain amount of time, it's family time. and that's something that I communicate with my clients, or I try to at least, and my staff is family always comes first. So if we have a meeting and something comes up and you have to cancel, hey, it's okay. Family always comes first. That's the most important thing. That's what we now need to figure out. Like, hey, take care of what you need to take care of. None of this is life and death situation. This can wait. So that's kind of a little bit how we do our thing.
Jose, amazing stuff. I love it. Hey, what's the kind of average age of your clients? Because mine are older. I'd be curious if they would do something like that.
I've got older clients, younger clients. I mean, I'm kind of all over the spectrum with this. If somebody can use Facebook on their phone, they can use our software.
Oh, okay.
That's kind of the and part of our onboarding call that we have is we walk them through how to use it. We show them really how to use it and make sure they set it up on their phone and they understand all that. And so that's kind of part of our onboarding process.
Wow. Awesome.
JJ, I've used it because Jose and I have a couple of small projects we work on together. It's really, I think it's fantastic. It's probably too much communication, but in a good way, because they can literally not. Oh, I didn't get there's no way you didn't get that message. Like, there's literally no chance you did not get that message. For 100%.
I love it.
That's just the way it is. But to that, and just a little quick discourse before we kick it over to Juan. One of my pet peeves is the whole email thing. I am on top of my email, like white on rice, man. Like, I am on my email. That is my to-do list. And for me, because I'm able to manage it, I guess it's just a little pet peeve of mine. I know people do, get challenged with that. It's just with me, then that adds more softwares, and Jose's got a really good practice management software. But right here, I got email. If I just stay on top of my inbox, right, JJ, like the old-fashioned way,
yep.
You got your inbox, right? It's sitting over there in your credential. That's kind of how I incorporate the email. So just so you'll know, anyone work with me, if you say you don't get the email, I'm going to be a little annoyed. Juan?
Okay.
Oh, there he is.
All
Go
right.
ahead.
So I'm lagging anyway, so y'all can make fun of me again. If y'all can't find a mistake in what I say, find a mistake in the video. Look, okay, so I'll say this before I get into the way I do business, since it's very different for me to fulfill my family obligations. All I have to do is tell my mom I love her every day, be there whenever my sisters and brothers text me, right? And then if I need to fly anywhere, I need to do that at a moment's notice. That being said, I don't have, a wife and kids. I have roommates that I'm not their parents. So basically that my family time is minimized, right? That being said, for accountants, I think they definitely, oh my God, scope creep can be especially, such a huge problem with an industry that typically is known for trying to look really, really good. And that's a really nice way of saying what someone else said earlier, people pleasing, right? We people please because we want to look really, really damn good. Okay. And what one of my clients did, who grew his office from 20,000 per month stagnant to his $60,000 a month, $80,000 a month, $100,000 a month. He very early on created different products in terms of communicating with him. So you actually had to pay $200 a month to be able to talk to him via text, right? So you can implement that in your practice. For me though, man, I want to go so fast. I want to get so much business done that I'm more on the David Meltzer model. And so what he teaches is, hey, if there's a message you can get back to super quick, go ahead and do it. And so whether that's a DM for me, an email for me, a Slack message for me, I do it as soon as I can, especially if it is priority, right? If it's the next best thing, which is like, hey, just responding to them in 24 hours, then it's that. If it's a more longer term thing, then it's either one of two things. It's either scheduled out as an actual meeting, or it's actually, I just give it a jab, say something, and then put that person or that situation onto a list, right? And so that's the way I do business. And I don't think that is for everyone, because there's such a capacity that you have to have in being all over the place, right? And being all over the place while also knowing what your places are, right? It's not like I'm confused of what was said in the DMs or emails or, Slack messages. Outside of communicating with clients, I think outside of those three, texting sometimes, sure. But outside of those three, we're not communicating on anything else. But I think firm owners should listen to Jose as far as implementing that CRM, right? Because you could listen and shake your head, or you could actually, try to figure it out. Like Jose said, he learned from Will and he implemented. He didn't just shake his head. So that's what I'll say to that entire question.
So real quick, not a CRM, project management.
There you go.
So
There you go.
CRM, yeah. CRM, we use Salesforce, which is way too much than I thought, a lot more than I thought. But that's another conversation, another topic we'll get into.
J-Mac, how much time do you have left of your segment? Because you haven't gone though, right?
No, so I just started the clock at 3. I'm figuring we started around like 8:40.
Oh yeah, no, we're good. I just want to make sure we weren't passing it on. We want to hear from you.
No, we're good. We're good. Thank you, JJ. I appreciate that. Juan, 2 things. Something you gave me an idea, because you were saying about how you work with people that literally charge for text messages and charge for 30-minute meetings. And I'm going to eventually approach that in my career. A good piece of advice, and something I didn't think of until now: if you're having a problem getting stuff done, maybe you need to charge more of your time. So if you're having issue, right, think about what you're spending your time on and make sure it's monetized. Like, just focus on that. Like, I know people get all over the place, but just as long as you can't, you're struggling with the content marketing or building your brand, whatever it might be, just focus on monetizing your time. The rest of the things should fall into play. And the whole David Meltzer model is literally what I've run my entire career on. 24 hours. This day and age, I mean, how many different devices do you have, to get in touch with people? And as long as you have your own system, there's no reason why you can't get back to somebody within 24 hours. I mean, I say 24, usually it's 12. And honestly, I'm working from home. So I'm able to get stuff done because I work from home in my pajamas. And anytime I hear, you just heard some alerts here, right? And that's my system and that's how I built it. But I have my speakers and Slack, Instagram, LinkedIn, Skype, Zoom. I mean, I got all the alerts here. They all got different sounds and I'm able to jump on it. Now, I work a little bit differently. I'm able to multitask. I'm able to stop something, pick it back up in a little bit. Like, I'm able to start and stop. It's just how I work. And my email is where that's it. Like, that's my to-do list. That's everything I get done. I do have some notes here. Like, I have like a little organized disaster, like an disorganized organization, but that's just me. Now, one thing I do, you gotta clear up your papers. Like, a lot of this stuff over here is there for a reason. And I mentioned this on something recently. I just remember seeing my old bosses and managers and people I used to work with, and you go in and you just see no personality. All you see is papers, just papers of stuff, and like, those are the people that don't get back on emails. Those are the people that, like, don't get back on the text messages. Sometimes they smell a little bit too. They just have stacks of papers on stuff, right? Jose, you left because you know exactly what I'm talking about. Like, yo, I mean, Mr. Martin, did you get that? It's like, oh no, don't you see all this stuff? Like, that stuff's been sitting there for like 3 months, man. Like, go look at it. Like, we don't even have that client anymore. What are you talking about? So, so for me, it's the email. I try to communicate on as many channels as possible. And I'm able to just respond immediately. If you can't respond immediately, then like JJ said, then pick a 2-hour window, a 3-hour window, whatever that needs to be, and make sure you respond to every text message, every email, every DM, everything. And again, a little before I cut, like, I'll scroll through. Like, you got to get a little anal with it. Like, you got to scroll through. Like, I go through my text message, that I make sure I get back to everybody. I look at my DMs, I get back to everybody. Like, I always just go back and double check. It's good habits to get into anyway. We're accountants. You should be double checking and triple checking your work. No different goes into here. So, hopefully through that question, I'm hoping when you guys listen and follow and watch, you take at least 4 pieces from each of us and develop your own system. And if it works for you, tell us about it. We want to hear it.
Yeah,
Juan,
absolutely.
yeah, Juan, let's go to you. I'm going to pass it around, and it's 9 o'clock my time and 3 minutes. Your topic, Mr. Juan Garcia.
Sure. I think you're actually going to like that this is kind of related to yours, but it's not the same thing. So it gives like this, if someone were to be listening to this is like the perfect super pack punch for exactly what you're holding up right there. And so my topic is really about understanding your potential, right? I mean, whether you think you do or not, I just think most professionals in general, but let's talk about accountants. Even like I'll put myself there back in PwC looking at cryptocurrencies. Most accountants don't necessarily understand their potential, right? Just like I didn't when I was at PwC, just like I mean, I still didn't the first week in my business, right? Like the long vision was very romantic, I guess. When I quit my job, like, oh yeah, we're gonna even market sports one day, like that's gonna be really cool, but we got a lot of work to do. I look at this past week and then I look back to the first week, like, man, I just realized I can do even more. Like that's crazy. So I think people looking at their day to day, they also need to realize their potential and what they're actually doing, right? So back to, getting stuff done, responding to messages. It's also getting stuff done is also, well, what are you getting done? Is it profitable? Are you spending time opening up the right deals, making the right relationships? Because honestly, coming from, a lot of accountants weren't just, and they couldn't, like, I respect that about the industry. Like a lot of the times, like, tell me someone that just came out of college to start their own firm, like out of college. Like that sounds kind of silly, right? Like work under somebody, learn. That being said, when we're working under someone, we're used to doing their plan, even if we impact it, right? Even if we come up with ideas for them, for our firm, whatever, our leader, we're used to impacting their plan. Now, when we have our own vision, there's all this potential that can be opened up, right? And sometimes we get stuck in our own plan, whether that's fulfilling, client obligations, going down. I mean, the projections look good, so let's just do business, right? Well, if you just have your head down all the time, only doing business, you might miss a couple of opportunities along the way. And so the big reason I say that is because this past week leaving XeroCon, I've just had so many realizations with myself, not only with myself, but what can actually be achieved and pulled off in the accounting market even more than before. And, that I won't get into any more of that, like what I actually realized. Maybe I'll mention that at the end. But what do you guys think about that specifically? Understanding your potential, sure, but also spending your time on the right things to get there. I think that's crazy important. So JJ, would love to hear from you first, sir.
Yeah, well, I appreciate that. It definitely is for me thinking of where is it that I want to end up, and then what do I need to be doing today? And there's a book called The 12-Week Year, and basically it's, instead of taking annual goals, is taking what goals you would have on an annual basis, but then breaking them down to, in essence, a quarterly basis or 12 weeks. And what I learned, I had opportunity because of my relationship with Mass Mutual, the general agent put me in touch with the author of this book, 12-Week Year, and I was able to do a 12-week course every week for 30 minutes with them. And what it really, hit me with is it's something that I've been doing ever since I was probably in high school, wanting to get out of the life that I was in and wanting to turn into who I feel like I have become. But it's finding what is it that I want to do and how do I get there, but then breaking it down into little steps. And so for me, if I'm looking to get into a new market, whether that be insurance or now I'm doing, litigation funding, it's going, okay, well, what do I want it to look like? And then how do I get there? But then breaking it down so that you're now constantly achieving. And it sounds, very much kind of like what Jose was talking about, is that you then have little tasks that you have to achieve. And with 12-week year, it's, well, what do I got to get done next week, the following week? And so with that being said, I've just always broken down what I want to do into little steps. So it's like, well, what can I do today? So even when I was in college, I knew that my sophomore year, first day I took my accounting class, that's when I called my grandfather, true story, and laid out. I wanted to become a CPA, and I wanted to have my own practice, and I wanted to model it after my grandfather's. And with that being said, then from there, it's like, well, what do I need to be doing now to get there? And what is it that I can be either reviewing or researching or reading about? And then I think from my perspective, you read some of the books, and I'll kind of say this in closing. I will say that there can be a negative to it where you can be consumed by it. And I think that I was consumed by it. I don't think it affected my kids and any of that kind of thing, but it definitely affected my thoughts and all that, because I really was driven to want to succeed and go further in life and achieve more and more and more and more. So even when I was in college, I didn't have a college experience. I didn't drink, I didn't party. I took any kind of job that was related to finance. I did tutoring, I took extra classes, and I wasn't trying to get A's. I was trying to learn what it was. And then when I got out, awesome. I was immediately consumed with passing the CPA exam. And then once I passed the CPA exam, I was consumed with how do you bring in new business and reading books. And so there's some things that I skipped out. And I've never missed my daughter's dance recital. I've never missed never missed an at-bat of my sons. And so I did have some priorities there, but there's a lot of things that if you really want to get to that next level, that you have to really get down in the details and then follow up with them.
Awesome. Love it, man. That is, that's pretty wild to hear from you, that you've been, operating like that for such a long time. And so success obviously leaves clues. Man, I've got a long career. I've got a long way to go. All right. So Justin, would love to hear from you, sir.
JJ, your grandfather's Omar Abbott Slater Jensen, right?
Just Omar Abbott Slater.
Omar Abbott Slater. Okay.
Yep.
So I want to start a hashtag, and I'm just going to go Omar Abbott Slater on pretty much every single post I do from here on out.
Omar, now, he told me he never met anybody and they didn't know he's a CPA within 30 seconds. So we better add CPA. But I will tell you this, J-Mac, he went by OAS CPA, his phone number on his card.
Nice.
So we can either do OAS CPA or Omar Abbott Slater CPA, but I'm honored, buddy. I love that.
Cool.
There you go.
Cool. So 3 minutes. First of all, you said something about potential, and I've said this to you before, Juan, privately, and I'm sure I've said this to you guys before. Like, I don't even believe my own potential. Like, I know you guys say nice things about me, and I appreciate it, and I do, and I appreciate it, and I don't believe it all the time. I guess maybe that's why there's going to be that ceiling, and that's going to be that chase, and I think that's what makes people successful or great or whatever it might be, and whatever this is, like, the four of us don't even know. I mean, this could be a behind the music, and think about a behind the music that's documented like weekly. This is documented weekly. Crazy. So, and we're all having fun and we're getting to know each other, and it's all good. I mean, I don't know how, I think we all feel good about what we put out. But I don't know if I'm ever going to be like, oh my God, I'm the best freaking accountant in the world,
Yeah.
And I know a lot of people say, and you can see some of those testimonials, and my friends and clients are very, very nice, but I appreciate it. So something else that you touched on, Juan, that I think is important, like, you said it and JJ said it, like, he's never missed a dance recital. He's never missed one of Cooper's games. Make that the priority. That's the non-negotiable. I'm telling you right now, it is 2019 on to 2020. Wherever you are in life, whatever you're working on, whatever you're doing, whatever you're living in, whatever, it doesn't matter. if you work with or for people that are not supportive of you going to do something because it's your kids, whatever, recital, it doesn't matter how unimportant it is them to you. It's your kids. Like the only ones, I mean, nobody gives a crap about anyone else's kids, right? Like that's the joke. Like you talk about your kid, nobody cares. Like, you know, like sometimes you do, but nobody really cares about your kids. So nobody's going to really give a crap. They don't care if it's going to be their first recital or they're like, you know, like Cooper's game today with freaking scouts being there. They're not going to give a crap. Make that a priority. Make that non-negotiable. Start building something around that. Take as ever long you need, a month, a year, whatever it might be, right? Focus on those priorities. The rest will adjust. You'll push some buttons. You can talk to my good buddy Ben Wan in terms of pushing buttons. Like, you know, it's all like we push buttons. Like, guys, they're not pushing back. So make your stance. Like, do what you need to do to get stuff done, to feel good about your career, to, you know, be okay. I'll miss some stuff with my kids, but I'm all right with it because I really see everything. Like, I'm not really putting them to bed this tonight, but I don't give a crap. I'm going to be spending all week with them. So, like, whatever. You know, I'm going to have all this good time next week. And,
but J-Mac, you spend a lot of time with your kids. I mean, we all know it and see it. I mean, even with how they're, the way you don't even mind that they're around the content and everything like that. So even though you just said what you said, you're unique in fathers out there and how much time you spend with your kids. And I think it's awesome.
That's not, but that's, you know, I mean, look, I don't know if that's totally okay because I think it's important. I think it's a little bit undervalued, the importance of a father figure in an infant's life, a newborn's child, like not just the mother, right? Breastfeeding and nurturing, whatever it is, like the paternal piece of that connect is just as important. And I know many, many fathers that are literally at the hospital, they see the baby and then they're back to work. Like,
yeah, that's why I opened my practice, because Chloe was born January 20th. And I was like, all right, this is the year, man, because I hardly got to see her and somebody else was telling me when I could.
You're never going to get that back. Omar, Slay Ter.
Love it.
Slay Ter?
Yeah.
Slay.
This is the Slater.
Legendary.
Legendary. That is sick. Oh my goodness.
This is his this is something we made. It's on a canvas.
Nice.
This is his business card. And actually I said it's SOS Omar. That's what he had as his phone number, SOS Omar.
Nice.
Yeah, there you go.
Nice.
But everything else was OAS CPA. But I have his certificate here too, his California certificate. He originally became a CPA in Nebraska, but his certificate here is from the years off on this one. This is something we put on a hey, Amanda, if you're listening, bring me his actual certificate.
There you go. Got to get it right.
This is
Awesome.
something put on Canvas.
Love it.
Going into the digital space. Yeah,
Right,
that's
Jose.
right. Jose.
Close off the topic, and then it's back to you, Mr. Wan.
Well, first I need to say big ups to you, JJ, because in college I was partying. I'm not even gonna lie. I mean, I was not focused. That's why you said that. I was like, wow. So
college is why I don't drink anymore.
Yeah, my priorities were not in line with where they are now. But man, you know, potential. I'm talking about potential. You know, that's something as well that I think, like, you know, me and JJ talk about. Not JJ. I'm sorry, Justin talk about a lot, kind of on the side, is, you know, each other's potential. And it's just like, man, people can sit here and tell you, oh, I see this in you, or I can see this, that in you, and everything. But it's like, unless you actually believe it, you know, and you don't have to necessarily believe it, but just kind of roll with it and use that as energy and try to fulfill it, then, you know, but it's just, I want to make something really clear. It's like, don't try to fulfill someone else's perception of their of you, or what they expect out of you. You need to do what you expect out of yourself, because if you're trying too much to kind of if somebody has this, like, you know, looks at you and it's like, oh, you have all this potential, you're trying to live up to their potential that they have of you, you're never gonna, you know, you're never going to reach it. You need to figure out what it is that you're comfortable with, that you want to do, and go with that. I mean, that was always kind of a big, not an anxiety factor for me, but just kind of, I was told, one, that I didn't have any potential from potential firm owners when I used to work in firms. And now I've got a couple people like, hey man, you've got this going, you've got that going. And I know it, but it's just at the same time, it's like, okay, I got to kind of, roll with it and make sure that I kind of, just do my best. That's really all I'm trying to do, do my best and have that positive outlook on life, and just, hey, this is what I want to do. This is what I want to contribute to the world. And I'm going to do the best thing I can to do it. And the best way that has worked out for me is kind of after ZeroCon, I hit the ground running, was strategic partnerships, finding the right people. I can't do everything by myself. I was on with the Latino Tax Pros earlier today. That's why we couldn't do JX4 during the noon hour on Central Time, but I was with them. And, one of the topics that came up was, again, and I talk about it a lot, collaboration over competition, working together, working with the right people. There's a lot of things I want to provide to the Latino community and just to the accounting community as a whole. I can't do it all on my own. I can't. But then I partner with other people that had the same vision, the same goals, the same morals, everything that shared, think and act similarly the way I do. And so if we can come together, we can create a product that's probably better together than what it's going to be with just me by myself or them by themselves. Me and Justin are working on a couple projects right now as it is, kind of on the side. I've got a couple other people that I've reached out to that we're working on side projects as well for, kind of things that we want to do, with the community and everything else. And so it's just, that to me is, if you want to reach your potential per se, then, don't try to do it alone. Don't try to do it alone. It's okay to ask for help. I bought this poster. Justin posted it a while back, and I found it. It's a bunch of F words. Don't effing, effing network. Don't effing sit on the couch. Don't effing this. I put it on my Instagram if y'all want to see it. So I bought it and I put it up today. And I think one of the things was effing ask for help. And it's okay. Okay, so maybe I'm not gonna. Maybe instead of bringing in all the profit, I'm only gonna make half the profit. But I mean, okay. You're still going to make money, and you're still going to do what you want to do at the end of the day, was to help people. That's the most important thing, That's kind of my take on it, how with, with that. Because, I mean, my wife always, my wife's my biggest supporter. I got to give her a shout out because, she's always telling me, well, your potential. And I'm like, no, I know, but, I get it. Just, I feel the love. Just, let's take it down a bit. I'm trying the best I can right now. So, and not that nothing's doing wrong. Nothing's going wrong. It's just, don't get, if it's a lot of people tell you, also be humble. Don't get a big head about it. Because I've seen too many people too who have kind of good visions, and they end up warping into something else because they maybe get with the wrong people that don't meet up their values, don't meet what they what they want to do. And then this big idea that you want to do, to help people morphs into just this thing that you're just not comfortable with, but you're already so invested in it that it's like, well, what can I do? So that's kind of my piece of advice. What's up?
Oh, sorry. I was going to time.
Okay.
Juan, bring it home.
All right. So I thank you, Jose. I think that sets me up to bring it home, because I always thought that, all we have to do is figure out our potential. And like, if we can just envision our potential, like that would be really great. Right. But what has helped, like I started my business with that. Like, just like JJ said, I might've started from where I came from, high school, like that, right? In college, and dang, let's try to get there. But I've actually, after this past week, developed a next step, or the next stage of thinking about this entire thing. And I've realized that even before I realize my potential and realize where I want to go, I really have to sit back and realize the potential. Like, does that make sense? Before I realize my potential, I have to realize the potential. Like, what can actually be pulled off? And like, to just put things in perspectives, in perspective, most professionals probably stop where I just said that I stopped. What's my potential, right? And so I don't necessarily think with all these crazy innovations going on right now, with this JX4 thing that we've put together, with opportunities that are almost seamlessly kind of falling into our lap almost, but we've really put in work to make these opportunities happen. But we're all getting crazy opportunities that maybe we even feel like we don't necessarily deserve them, right? Man, we've really got to sit back after that, after we realize what is the potential of being pulled off, and then figure out, okay, what do we actually want? This goes back to what Jose was saying, right? I see the potential in you, man. Juan, I see the potential in you to be like some kind of athlete, right? So forget school, like we are training like nothing else matters. Like that's how my life was for a long time. And like you wouldn't believe how close to college I actually found out it was possible to go to college with so grades. Like I didn't know that going through high school, right? So yeah, Jose, like you really got to sit back, think about what you want. And then to what JJ said, just to wrap this up, all right, the big vision is great and everything, but what are the today steps? What are this week's steps? What is the next message I need to make? The next meeting with my team I need to make, the next meeting with a partner that I need to make to move this along to reach that potential, right? And so back to what I started this with, the big realization that I had, that I kind of just wanted to get out there into that atmosphere for accountants, just to help you guys out, because accountants and CPAs are clearly intelligent from an academic standpoint, from looking at the financial standpoint, even the entrepreneurs building businesses, right? But do we really realize what is possible? Not even with ourselves, but just the potential. Like, do we really sit back and think about it? Which is why I made the comment of maybe we can get stuck in like client work. We're just looking at, okay, this is going great, so we pass up some amazing opportunities. And that is how I'll end it. Think about the potential, right?
I'm spending money I don't have, guys, just to let you all know.
I got
like to make money, like that's kind of what you have to do.
I went to college
quick,
with money I didn't have.
Right, there you go. I'm still paying off college.
There's a real thing.
Actual certificate here.
Nice.
1956 in California. He was a CPA in Nebraska before that. It had to be in the late 40s because he'd been there about 10 years. But 1956, this is the original certificate. Anyways, I'm just throwing that in there. I love it. And I'm honored, guys, that you guys pick up on that. And I know that my grandfather is just loving it.
That's like my favorite part of this.
Yeah, Justin.
We say it behind the scenes all the time. Like even at ZeroCon, we were dropping Omar Abbott Slater.
I tell you this, by the way. So I was a networking machine during ZeroCon. I mean, these poor guys hardly saw me because I was all over just trying to meet as many people.
That's fine, man.
But I will say this: I got a lot more people than I thought asking, "Hey, man, where's your JX4 crew? Where's your JX4 crew?" And everybody, I'm like, "Oh, look, they're over there." And then they would always ask the second question, "Where's JJ? JJ here? Is JJ here?"
So kind.
That was always the second question. I'm like, "No, not this year."
JJ, that's really.
I was like, Justin and Juan are here. Like, "Oh, cool, I'll swing by." Is JJ here?
We're on the show on the TV, and we're 3 of JX4. They don't even want to talk to us. They want to talk to JJ on my phone. Like they're like, that's all they wanted to talk. They didn't even know who he was. We were there. JJ, yay! That sounds cool.
Oh, you guys are awesome.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
Oh my gosh. Well, hey, Jose, you want to take the next segment, brother?
Yeah, you're up,
Jose.
Jose.
I'll take it. So, all right, this is something that's going to be more for college kids and those starting college, high school kids, college kids. And I want y'all's take on this as well. So, with the advent of technology and all these applications and softwares and everything out there, something personally I see and I think that is very important is now it's no longer good enough to just know the numbers. I think now with the way the industry's moving, the way the industry's trending, we need to have more of an IT background. We need to be able to do that because, the compliance work is going away, with all these, I don't do any data entry at all anymore for none of my clients. I do absolutely no
I'm
data
so
entry at all.
jealous.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And because of that, yes, always you have to know the technical know-how and everything, but me personally, with what I've seen and kind of the space I'm trying, to get into, and with the people I'm talking, more of this technology and automation and everything. Having the IT background is very important because you need to understand how things work, and it opens up a new revenue line for you and your firm, where you can offer, okay, I can offer you our traditional services of the bookkeeping, the taxes, all that. Plus, again, advisory services move into that bigger role as well. But then you can also offer not necessarily IT services, but IT consulting, technology consulting, app advisory, things like that. How does this work? Cybersecurity, because that's a topic that no one's talking about in this industry. Everyone's too afraid or don't really understand or know, how to talk about it. Is how do we protect ourselves? How to everything, and that's something that with the advent, kind of like I said, with the advent of technology coming in this industry, I think that's very important. So I kind of want to take y'all's take on what do you think is just having the financial know-how good enough, or do we need to be able to move into that, or have someone on your team that specializes in that? Because for me, first chance I get, I'm hiring a full stack developer. I want to have a developer on my team because I've got a couple things I want to do, a couple apps I want to build. And, that's what I want to do because, again, personally for me, but, for you guys, I want to know, is, in your opinion, financial information just good enough? Or should some of these guys, maybe their electives be focused more towards IT stuff, maybe management information systems, things like that? So I'll go ahead and, JJ, I'd like your take on it first.
Hey, well, I appreciate that. And I think that, especially on the CPA side, we're heading towards a crisis. Phil Yeager has a podcast. I know J-Mac's been on it. I think Juan's been on it. Jose may be coming on it. But anyways, we talked about the upcoming crisis as we fast forward, that we're going to have a lack of CPAs out there. And then I actually taught a course up in Oregon here this last week, and it was on ethics, but we talked about what differentiates the CPA, or even really the accounting or the EA, but separates us. But the reason I'm saying that, Jose, is that I think the other thing that maybe those that are going into the numbers business or finance or accounting, and we've got an unfortunate situation here. I've got a young man that's been with us, been with us a year, and he's decided to go a different direction. He doesn't want to be in public or tax or any of that kind of stuff, unfortunately. We wish him the luck. He's a wonderful young man. But the point is that I wanted him to hold on just that much longer, because what I have driven home to him and other people I've worked with, or when I'm talking with students, is that finances affect everybody's life, whether it's running a church, whether it's running a household, any size business, if it's a hobby, if it's art, if you're a restaurant, you pick it. And understanding those numbers makes anything more successful. And so if you can understand the numbers and help somebody else understand those numbers in terms of making them come alive. And how does that come about? It's understanding there's a story behind the numbers. And so in college, now I get, I'm going a little different, or maybe completely opposite, Jose, because yes, I think people need to have the IT and all that, but what I rely on probably the most in the emotional side when working with clients is related to business law. I'm not a lawyer, but in the sense of what's going on in their world, how do the numbers affect those things as they get into legal issues? And I don't mean being sued, but just how do they set up their own business? And then just understanding economics. So even though I love it. And even though, I'm not an economics guy and I'm not trying to do trending and whatnot, but understanding marketing, it's over the last 22 years of my own practice, how many times I've just spitballed with clients how to do different things marketing wise and just having fun with them. And so I guess what I'm getting at, Jose, is that when we go into numbers, maybe in college, we're not able to, because it's just in a book, but we're not able to really drive home how much the numbers affect people, and there's a story behind it and there's a person behind it. And when I talk to those that work in my office, when we're delivering results to a client, how we're impacting their lives in the sense of how much do you owe, or how that's going to affect how much you're saving for this, or how you can afford that. So I guess where I'm coming at, Jose, is if we could do a better job, and I say we, JX4, the industry, college, the books, understanding that there's a real personal side. And I'll say, look at the four of us, and how many times in every episode and throughout our content we're talking about affecting lives. I mean, think of the wonderful commercial, or I guess we're calling it that, Jose, that I saw this week, where you're impacting a family business and the relief that you're bringing them, and the numbers, and how it's going to give them comfort to run the business. And so I think it's just a matter of understanding that, man, it's more than the numbers. It's people's lives that go into it. But yes, people should take more IT. Yeah, just to answer your question.
Well, I like the business law side of it too. I mean, you're right. You do need to know that kind of stuff, because those questions do come up. You know, we need to get at least exposed to it, and we don't have to necessarily give them the advice, but at least understand what's going on, and just and be able to answer some of those questions that they have. Yeah. So no, I agree with that 100% as well. I mean, that's something too that you should, if the possibility is there, take it. Don't just stick, to me, my personal thing, don't just stick with just accounting classes and that's it. Yep. Your electives, branch out. Business law classes, again, IT courses, things like maybe marketing courses as well, something like that. That's kind of my take on it. So, all right, Justin.
Okay, Mr. Business Law, what is promissory estoppel mean?
Hey, I know.
Do you?
I know. I do. Let me I got to give Tim Hefner a call real quick, and then I'll let you know.
I'm not going to read it. It's fine. It's in the book, though.
I remember the terminology.
It's the only thing that's highlighted in here. I think I went to class the one day, and that was probably it. So, look.
Did you get a T-shirt that day?
I guess so. I don't know. Hold on one second. This is probably my favorite question we've ever had on the show, because I think it is the absolute most important. It's probably the only one that really matters, because if there is no profession, then none of us have jobs. So the only possible way that is going to continue is if we lobby for our profession, just like any other profession has to lobby for theirs to ensure the sustainability of that profession. It does start with these college kids, right? They're all looking for life-changing careers where they can make groundbreaking decisions and impact, et cetera, et cetera. And there's absolutely no reason why that shouldn't happen. There's absolutely no reason why. That being said, you have to, like Jose said, branch out. Something I always, what I think is a good parallel is code, to learn how to read and write code. Right, because Jose just said he wants to bring on an engineer. Dude, those guys make a lot of money. Like, that's it. They're not cheap, man. Like, and if you think about it, code is a language. Code is a language just like anything else. Code is a language just like English and Spanish and Russian and accounting and coding. It's a language, and most of these kids today are even doing a lot of that stuff, and they don't even realize it. They're thinking in zeros and ones, and they're not even like prepared for that kind of stuff. So for me, if you're going to develop any kind of additional skill, speaking Mandarin or Chinese, right, a business language, like that would be pretty cool. Like if it's code, a lot of businessmen speak Chinese. So if you're going to go out and do world travel, that wouldn't hurt. And if you have to do the masters, JJ has said this before. I think maybe it was Phil Yeager. It's probably both. Maybe you guys talked about it on your podcast. Maybe that's what it was. Getting that accounting masters is just a waste. I mean, you got to get the 4 years, then the 30 credits. Maybe they're going to go away with it. Maybe they're not. But you're going to get an accounting masters on top of that doesn't make sense. Get a finance if you can, or taxation. go the extra semester if you have to. Like, get something that is going to complement your resume, and something that I didn't do. And Jose probably didn't do that much either. And obviously JJ did, because he was going to class every day and I wasn't, as you can see from that book. I wish I paid attention in school a little bit more. Like, I'm not going to lie, like I really do. I had group tests in some classes. I mean, it's just the way it was. And I do wish I paid attention more, because even I'm looking through that book and I was trying to make a joke of it. Yeah, I'm going to dive back into that thing. There's some really good stuff. And I've been through a lot of legal things. I've talked about them. There's a few, and you learn on the job, but there's this whole book back here that, I wish I knew I had, because I probably would have used it. So I would find ways to complement that. You got to do the extracurriculars, learn how to use Excel and Word and PowerPoint, and pay attention in school if you can. Try the best you can to absorb it and then apply it right away. And then you got to get that exam done, guys. So you got to make a plan for that. So,
And I just to kind of real quick, I focused nothing but accounting classes. I thought that's what I needed. And, for us in Texas, and I know it's different every state, we need 150 hours to be able to sit for the exam. Yeah. So it's like, if maybe the board opens it up to IT, or I don't know what the require. I know back then it was all accounting. That could be maybe a possibility. Maybe opening it up to some more biz dev classes, something like that. That would be something. I don't know what it looks like now. I'm not going to sit there.
Really, that's a good idea, like because that is what needs to happen. That's a really good idea. I like that.
So that's just kind of my 2 cents. All right, Juan. Oh, and by the way, the commercial. Go ahead. I'll let you do your thing. Let them know about the commercial, Juan.
Oh yeah, I mean that was Remy. That was Remy's talent, from storytelling to script to, I'm sure him and Jose talked about some crazy things, because I've met, I met Remy in college and we had big plans since back then, talking about cryptocurrency exchanges and stuff like that. But that's all I'll say about that. You'll see much more of that, but that has been our secret weapon that we haven't really pulled out. That rather than just make commercials, we want to make entire documentaries. So that's all I'll say for that. But thanks for the play. Much more to do.
So it's on you, man. Juan, college kids.
Yeah. So I'm going to go on the discourse here, onto some discourse here with JMac, and just completely disagree with the whole coding thing. So I think that, I think college students especially, or young students, young professionals, should pick an industry that they're interested in, learn the fundamentals of it, and then fly to their strength within it, right? So how I'm executing my presence in the accounting market is similar to that, except like that wasn't my plan to begin with, right? That's just kind of how it ended up. Oh, Juan doesn't know the numbers. No one ever said that, because I did. So if I would have stayed in PricewaterhouseCoopers, I would have been heavily involved in cryptocurrency, right? That type of thing. So that's another area that a lot of people are really afraid to talk about. They don't talk about in the space. They don't even really research it half of the time. And so they go off the one episode that Jaeger CPA Review puts out, even though there were some errors made in that episode. But a lot of great, I mean, my client dropped some massive value on that episode. If you want to learn what really blockchain is and cryptocurrency is in 2019, start with that episode. I'll be putting some more of that content, cryptocurrency content, out as if like I'm not even a marketer, as if I'm just in the cryptocurrency space. That being said, I think, with coding, the kids can kind of get in trouble, because while they may be just starting to code, the big bucks are going to be made by the guys who have made stuff and are really good at it, right? And so then they're just going to become a commodity. Then the language that they're learning right now, it's going to change to a different language in the future. And, if it's just about getting ahead and creating a marketable skill, I don't think they have to go so hardcore into cryptocurrency, or so hardcore into coding, or even so hardcore into IT. But all those are great. Like, find something to where you can find a marketable skill, right? That's really what Jose is saying here, right? What is the marketable skill coming out? It's not just knowing the numbers, right? So we talk about good enough. I think, it's of immense value to just know the numbers, right? So if you can actually just know the numbers and have some financial literacy in your life, you're already great, but you would be wasting this moment in history to not learn extra things that are easily accessible. That's what I'll say about the whole, what college students should be thinking about.
Yeah. Hey, Juan, what you're talking the episode on CPA primetime, right? Do you know what episode it is on the? You just
that's right. I forgot. I interviewed the founder of Audit Chain. So if you really, I mean, I didn't even put myself on. That's how But I'll go ahead and turn everyone to that one. CPA Primetime Audit Chain. I don't care if you like the guy on the episode or not. He describes blockchain and cryptocurrency, in a really good way. But what I had mentioned was Jaeger's podcast, right? So a cryptocurrency person and a blockchain person listening to that podcast, you're like, man, I can't believe like this information is actually getting to accountants if some of it is the wrong information, right? So that's my thing with the cybersecurity space too. Like Jose said, the people that know their stuff need to talk. So,
all right, are we in the fourth segment now? Right, J-Mac?
Say again?
We're in our fourth segment, right?
Yeah, it's you're up.
All right, I'm up. So the one thing I wanted to bring to the table here is, what is the one thing that you believe will be the part of your brand that you will want to either protect, maintain, push forward, kind of one aspect in it. And it's probably more what's underneath the branding, right? So, I have a cigar and some taglines and all that stuff. That's not the branding. For me, the branding is being somebody that is helpful, that, okay, a CPA can do all these different things with their career while still maintaining being a CPA and in tax, and being able to branch out and to have, material things, to be successful, to be friendly, to have a personality. Obviously we all have personalities, to maybe be a little bit inspirational or motivational for those wanting to get into the industry. And so I kind of really feel like the brand of JJ the CPA is to be an attractive symbol of our industry. Attractive in the sense of like, wow, I like something about this. And from my perspective, the one thing that I want to protect on that is then how obviously I'm perceived. And so recently, a little story, and then I'm gonna knock it over to it will go in this order. I'm gonna go with Jose, J-Mac, and then Juan. But I actually had a wonderful good friend, 18 years, that came to me and he said, man, JJ the CPA, this was last August. You're doing all these videos. Let's put together a series of videos. And then I've got this system called ClickFunnels. I didn't know anything about it really. And we're going to put together these videos, and then we'll just, be able to sell some of the knowledge that you have. Like, okay, well, it just led to one thing. And then, to do live seminars. And because he was a good friend, he kind of took me further down. It's almost like Satan, he just took me further than I wanted to go. And it got to where, at the beginning of April, we were promoting, and it was $17 and $1.99. And it was, I felt, it just wasn't consistent with my image, and it was pressing. And we sold a little bit. But anyways, I said, hey, I want to take a break from this. But I met with him last Thursday, and it ended in a screaming match. And I told him to get the fuck out of my life. And
JJ,
to do with him. Yeah, I was screaming at him. But the biggest reason for it is part of me being JJ the CPA is to be also inclusive. And he had presented a new idea to me that I told him 3 months I didn't want to do it. 2 months ago I didn't want to do it. But it competed with somewhat. It competed with Amanda C. Watts. And part of what I told him is, well, I don't want to do that unless we bring Juan in, or maybe Amanda C. I said, I really like JX4. If you think this is something that you want to pursue, I'd rather have these guys sign off on it. And it was just basically, doing ClickFunnels and in a way to market to CPAs so CPAs could market to their clients and all this stuff. And I was just like, this isn't consistent with my brand, buddy. It's not. And anyways, long story short, I was just like, I'm not doing it because I'm not going to get into anything that's going to be in the space of competing with one, not that I would be a competitor, so to speak, but I was just like, I'm collaborating and it's not consistent. I'm not wanting to be a salesman. And that's where some of that was leading me towards. And that's why I cut it out, because I just felt like it wasn't consistent. Even if I'd find a way to maybe sell some of the knowledge that I have, it was not consistent with my brand. So I wasted a lot of time. Unfortunately, I wasted some money, but I felt I needed to cut it out so that my brand was consistent with who I want to be and how I'm presenting myself. So anyways, with that, Jose, what are your thoughts on what's the one aspect of your brand that you want to make sure is coming through and consistent?
For me, it's all about positivity, collaboration. That's what I'm about is I'm not selfish. I don't want to be selfish. And I'm positive. I'm not in your face. I'm not, cussing you out or getting aggressive with tactics or anything like that. That's not my thing, and that's kind of the most important thing to me is what I'd like to, I am who I am. I'm authentic. I'm not going to change that to try to sell something. I'm not going to change that to try to help someone. If somebody comes to me and it's like, hey, I want to use your contacts to maybe get a hold of some other contacts, that you have. And it's just like, no, man, like, no, that to me, that's the most important thing, because for me, I'm all about bringing this industry up. Two things. I want to bring this industry up and I want to empower the Latino community. I mean, that I want to help them. I want to give them the opportunities that I've learned from my mistakes, help them out, give them the content, give them the help that I was able to get or that I learned kind of from trial and error, and give them the opportunity to do what Justin and me do. Work from home, work virtually, spend more time with our families, being able to take a vacation. I wrote a blog post for Latino Tax Pros. I took a vacation in the middle of April to Mexico, middle of April. Still got all my tax returns done during the day, still got everything done, didn't miss a beat. But, in the afternoons, I was able to go and spend time with my family. And to me, that's the most important thing, so that's the one aspect of my brand that I'm not in your face. I'm not like, anything. I mean, do I get frustrated? Yeah. Do I get mad? Yeah. Everybody does. But, my brand is all about, I'm open arms. I'm open to collaboration. I'm open to listening, as long as you meet my values, my morals and everything. If you're coming to me with open arms and really you have, come in with a different mentality or a very salesman kind of tacky, mentality, that's not for me, but as long as you come, you're like, hey, I love what you're doing. This is what I want to do. And it's all about helping people. Because at the end of the day, man, that's what I'm about. I love to help people. That's why I got into this business. That's why I got into this industry, Yeah, you can make some money. You can make everything. But, by helping people, the money comes after that. The money follows that. That's something I've learned in my career as well. It's like if you focus solely on the money, you're not going to get far, But if you focus on actually helping people and being genuine, the money just comes. you
Yep.
know and that's something I see with you, I see with Justin, I see with Juan. That's something that why I think we work very well together, because we're all genuine, we're all authentic. This is who we are. J-Mec is Long Island. He's Long Island, and so and I love it.
What the
I
heck
love
is
it.
that
We
supposed
all are givers.
That means he cusses people out.
J-Mac, tell us, branding, your one thing. I got to turn this fan off.
That's a cool question. I'm really glad you didn't call on me first, because I didn't really have much of an answer. But Jose's answer kind of helped me out a little bit, and the only thing I care about is helping people. That's it. I mean, just pay it forward. I mean, that is literally the only thing that I want to be consistent. When people attach themselves to CPA enterprises, right? I want them to know that they are getting not only, the best service and trust and all that other stuff, but like, I care. Like, I genuinely care. It's not about billing the hours. It's not about writing off the time. It's about doing the things that are necessary and caring about their money, your client's money, your friends and family's money as much as it's yours. And every single dollar that I collect, I feel I've said this before. There's a much difference between making money and earning money. There are two very, very different things. Anyone can make money, right? But you're actually going to earn that dollar, right? Are you going to earn that dollar long term, short term as well? I mean, anyone can make it short term, but all four of us right here on this round table, on this square table, it's really more of a square because it's four of us, whatever. Each and every one of us have very different brands, right? Each and every one of us have very different values, but we're all very consistent in the fact that we want to help people. And that's what we're here to do. That's why we're doing this. That's why, I mean, we're not charging anybody for this. And you know something, we're still going to get paid clients from this stuff. We were talking about this at JX4, like all this free content we're going to be putting out, we are putting out, continuously putting out, like that's going to be there forever for free. And you're still going to pay us to walk you through these things. And that's the point, because these are our marketing dollars, right? That Volvo commercial was so freaking awesome. Oh my God. I don't want to get into it now because that's a completely different thing. But I mean, you know, JJ, I didn't comment on the, I didn't comment on your post with the A&W root beer, which was really, you know, it was emotional. It was touching. And honestly, I didn't really know how to even respond. Like, I just kind of let it sit, and maybe because it was for this, you know, for this moment, but like, A&W, there was a couple of them around here. They didn't really last. I know it was like, you know, a franchise and restaurant, and I can, there's nothing better than a good root beer. I mean, there's, you know, it's just, a good root beer is just, you know, it's damn good, and A&W is the best. But like, you relate it back to good times with your mom, and, you know, and that's really super nice, you know, and I can't relate to that stuff totally, but like, it definitely got me a little touched, brought a little tear to my eye for sure. And I'm not saying I want to bring people to tears when they think about CPA Enterprises in 100 years, right? But maybe they will. I don't know. Maybe because I beat them all up. But anyway, you know, that's what's important, right? I mean, you know, it's junk food and it's burgers, but like, I mean, they've been around forever, and it brought JJ. I mean, that's beautiful, right? I mean, and helping, right? I mean, putting ourselves out there. That's the point. That's what I want. You know, when they see purple and red, they know they're good.
Boom. J-Mac. Juan.
Wow.
Expert. What's up, brother?
So I hate calling myself an expert. So I don't even think I have. But, you know, I'll say this.
You're an expert when someone calls you an expert. I think you and I both have said that.
Man, it happened. I put out, never trust a marketing expert or a guru on my second day in business. I had a phone call, someone calling me, well, you're the expert, like on the first week, right? It was because in my first week, I was taking as much authority as I could have in the first week in terms of advising them. But
everyone read this book.
Look at that.
Exactly what you just said. It's perfect.
Look at that. I need to audiobook that. Take that and audiobook it. It's only print.
You have to read it. It's real quick though, dude. I read it in like 3 hours. It's really quick. I barely read, so I'm like on a 7th grade.
Anyway. Fine. Okay. So back to the topic at hand. A couple of things that matter to me in the accounting space specifically is helping my clients win, right? So I'm going to win in other industries. I'm going to win in other areas of life, but in the accounting space, you know, specifically, I just think there is so much that can be done to where I have not only the interest in growing my business. You've got to understand, like, I'm not just some guy that's like, oh my God, look at the accountants need help. Let me go help them. Right. It's a good market. No, like I experience the pain of people around me, my friends who are really good, even within the firm, not being able to communicate their value, to tell us how good they actually are. Right. So that is like, no, like that's just what I said to JJ on my podcast. Most accountants don't actually have a value problem. It actually is enough to know the numbers, I would say. Now we've just got to communicate the value we even wake up out of bed with most of the time. So that's a huge mission to me. As far as me being perceived, I actually I'm super weird in the accounting industry because all I need them to know is that I'm telling the truth. I'm giving, whoever wants it, the smaller entrepreneurs, the solopreneurs, I'm not giving them a class or a course. I'm just giving them free content. And then the bigger brands, I think that's where I'm going to make my real money, right? So small practitioners don't line my pockets, but they do line my culture in terms of, like you said, Justin, I don't want to bring anyone to tears. Well, I do. And I think people are going to be crying based off of documentaries that, the media team at Gold Lake Media makes about the space, right? So those are just a couple of things. Telling the truth, winning for my clients, let alone winning with. And, this might be kind of Muhammad Ali, kind of Sugar Ray Robinson, but I don't believe the accounting market has ever experienced anyone like me. And so I do have that responsibility to sort of take the truth, not take a judgment too far, because I know people can be very judgmental if they see my aggressiveness, right? Or if they say, Juan is having a negative impact on the space versus a positive just because he cusses, right? Justin cusses more than me, but I wouldn't say I curse out people, right? But I curse for them, man. No one has ever talked to the accounting market like this. This is exactly what I'm here for. In fact, someone at ZeroCon, they showed me my messages. They said, "Oh my God, you're Juan Garcia, right?" I'm not famous yet, but that was really cool. And they said, "Yeah, I remember you were super aggressive with me in the messages." And I was like, "Oh my God, what do you mean? Let me see the messages," right? And then it was this long stream of messages. We're going back and forth. And this was in February. I was like, "Oh my God, I can't believe I answered you that much. I gave you that much value. Like, you should be able to make money off of this, right?" And then at the end, they said, "Yeah, the thing that kind of like threw me off was at the end, you said like I should at least be able to make $500. I was like, "No, well, actually, I even changed that line. You should be able to make $1,000, right?" And I said this, and here's where I get really aggressive that a lot of accountants might not like, but it's okay because it's the truth coming from me. I'm going to come out with this line more often that, if you have $1,000 to invest in your career, whether it's in marketing or another area, whether it's just to keep the business alive, right? You should be able to make $1,000 by next weekend. If where I grew up, a crackhead can make $1,000 to, degenerate their life. You should be able to put that money on the table for your family. All right. And so that's crazy to say. I get it, but that's what I'm here for. Anyway,
I love it. I love it. Well, I appreciate all that. And I think collectively, we are attracted to being together in terms of JX4 and being able to collaborate because we are being helpful. We're being genuine. I think probably for all of us, we're not necessarily directly trying to, at every second of content, trying to make money off of that. And, part of it for me is with you guys. So, I'm going to be 48. And the only reason I'm saying that is I do have like,
you say it all the time.
Years. I know.
You really did. It's like the fourth time today I've heard that.
But, roughly, I've got about 10 years more experience than, Jose and Justin, and, I don't know, around 20 more than Juan. But the reason I say that, guys, is when you guys are my age, right, 10 years from now or 20 years from now, you guys are going to be huge, bigger than where I probably will ever be able to go. You guys are so further ahead of where I was at your age in terms of getting out there and ideas. And so anyways, the reason I say that is that's the other thing I love about JX4 is I'm picking up info. And it sounds corny to say, but I mean, I'm honored to be a part of JX4 because I'm learning things from you guys. And in some ways, I feel like at some point I'm going to be riding your guys' coattails. I don't know that anybody's riding each other's coattails right now, but there's going to come a point we're going to start having a pony ahead and any of this kind of stuff. And I'll probably be the one that is holding on to all three of you guys as you guys
love it.
ascend. So, and another thing is, I think we all love to have fun, and that's part of our brand too. So, well, hey,
Jose, how many Jaguars do you have?
0.
Hey,
Look, wait, real quick. I will say this, whenever a local vendor reaches out to me because he wants to connect with JJ the CPA through me.
right.
It's like, yeah, no.
Come on.
You're doing something right. You're doing something right.
Well, I appreciate that so much, and it's so fun to be a part of this. And I really feel like we've got something coming up in August. We've been talking about. We're going to start promoting it. That is going to be presented by JX4, and it's going to be something like nobody's ever seen. As we talk about social media and accounting and the symposium, and we're all going to be together live as well as a few others. So, anyways, thanks for tuning in. And Juan, when do we release this? We have a new time now that we're releasing our premiere, the premiere each week.
Sunday, 8 p.m. Central, 9
Okay.
p.m. Eastern.
Okay, so 8 p.m. Central. That'll be our new time on Sunday. And then our goal is that at least one of us will be on live to interact as you're watching this. So if you've tuned in all the way to this point, we love you. Remember, #JX4, and we'll catch you guys next time. Appreciate you guys.
Love it.
All right. We'll see y'all later.